Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled City Council meeting and the last meeting of the calendar year 2017. This meeting is called to order. I kindly ask our esteemed clerk to please take the roll call.
Mike Bruno.
Here.
Tara Burkhart.
Here.
Don Cummings.
Here.
Becky Ruby.
Here.
Ian Kilberg.
Here.
Craig Maladra.
Here.
Richard Marks.
Here.
Gene McGowan.
Here.
Jim Radecki.
Here.
Robert Swanson.
Here. I kindly invite our dynamic duo from the Chamber of Commerce, Gene Gaines and Scott Lieben, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, guys. It's a good segue, isn't it? To item 3A, a special message from the Geneva Chamber of Commerce. We have President Gene Gaines and Chairman Scott Lieben with us this evening.
No, he can't say anything. He's just there.
He's just there for, but I had to at least reckon. That's not what it said in the agenda, Scott.
You had so many people to choose from to lead the pledge.
I know, isn't this?
Okay, Gene Gaines, Geneva Chamber of Commerce, for the record. Okay, so we are wrapping up 2017, and it really was a great year. Events brand Geneva in a positive way and bring traffic to our businesses. Much of our success is due to the partnerships we value. The city staff, Stephanie, Kathleen, Jean Finari, the city council, and the mayor, all of the department heads and their crews. Public Works, police, fire. In all my years, every request I've made of Public Works or the police, fire, has been met with enthusiasm, and they get right to it. And I think that's great when they have so much work to do and they still make time for us. We also rely on the hundreds of volunteers who staff our events. For Christmas, for example, 180 volunteers were needed. So let's talk about Christmas, since that's the most recent. The weather was great, but we've had other years with good weather. So I think we've just found the perfect formula for this celebration to begin the Christmas season. The only time maybe that's not well planned is the 15 minutes we're waiting for Santa Claus to come. And we have to keep singing, "Here Comes Santa," because it's so hard for him to get out onto State Street. But we have a beautiful venue with many choices for shopping and dining, and we have perfected the schedule. For the house tour, we had calls from Arizona, California, Boston, and Hawaii for tickets. Now, of course, those people were planning to be here. They didn't come just for this, except for the lady in Boston who flies in every year to meet friends, specifically for that weekend. We had one lady call from Palatine, and she said, "My friend on the East Coast said she's coming and we should go to this Christmas walk." And she said, "I didn't even know about it, but she told me we ought to go." So I'm assuming our website's very effective. In case you did not see Dave Hune's column in the Daily Herald, I'm going to give you the gist of it. I quote, "Did Christmas Walk in Geneva represent the greatest number of people in one place at the same time in the history of the Tri-Cities?" He goes on to mention other events, but in conclusion he says, "I'm not any good at predicting crowd sizes, but let's call it this: mammoth and most likely unprecedented." Other festivals this year were also very good. We are so fortunate in the late 40s that some committee, planned Swedish Days in a perfect way, and we still follow that formula to this day. The events that were created during my watch include Festival of the Vine, which began in 1982, and I think is probably everyone's favorite. The Fine Art Show is now 17 years old, and we just got word on Friday that it has been named number 7 in the America's Best Art Fairs, conducted by Art Fair Calendar. We're just behind Ann Arbor, which is a huge show, and also Cherry Creek in Colorado, which is a show I've envied for years, and to be listed in that same top 10 with them is really spectacular. I've repeated this many times. You can probably quote me all the time, but we create fun with a very serious economic benefit, and everyone can participate if they choose, members and non-members alike. We've talked about 3 sides of our building, the foundation. We have the city, the chamber, and our volunteers. The fourth side of the foundation is advertising. We have the events with quality and a great reputation, but if the public doesn't hear the what, when, and where, there's no attendance. Many businesses do very little or no advertising on their own, and they rely on the events and our advertising to bring people to them. We think we have found the perfect formula of radio, print, digital, web, social media, and even some TV. We also have the unique opportunities like the Marquee, the city newsletter. Kevin Starr does a great job of reporting everybody's events, and our media partners. They're very good about writing our stories. So how do we pay for this advertising? Maybe some of the newer members of the council don't know, but we experienced drastic cuts, just like the city did from the state of Illinois. The matching grant program to fund advertising events was cut with the loss to us of thousands of dollars annually. So this makes the hotel tax even more important to our success. The intent of the tax is to put heads in beds, and with the 3% of the 5% that we administer, we follow the state guidelines, and we know, at Christmas, for example, our properties are booked, solid, and our restaurants are filled and our shops are busy. I also want to mention we heavily advertise the Geneva gift certificate, and I only mention that because we almost have a line out the door every day now until Christmas. They've become very popular. And that, of course, is something we administer, giving 100% back to the merchants when they redeem them. So it's a really great way to keep sales tax dollars in Geneva, but that's just a little sidebar. We'd like to rely on all four sides of our building foundation to begin in 2018: the city, the chamber, the volunteers, and the hotel tax. It is starting all over again January 1. I keep telling my staff 34 weeks till Swedish days, and then they throw something at me. But anyway, we have to start over raising the funds to pay all the expenses for these expensive but very rewarding events. I think we have a wonderful partnership, and we're just very grateful to all of you, and I hope you understand that we do value your participation and your support. So Merry Christmas to all of you, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer, and Mr. Lieben could answer too if he'd like to.
Comments for Ms. Gaines? Alderman Bruno?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jean. I can't leave the opportunity pass without thanking you. I think, when we introduce people to Geneva and the events, what you've done with the chamber and your partnership with the city is the envy of all that know us, and you've played a great role in that. So I appreciate it, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay?
Thank you,
Enjoy.
Jane. And Scott, you've never performed better than this evening. Item 4, ladies and gentlemen, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments this evening? Item 5 is the omnibus agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered to be routine and can be considered by this council with one motion. Is there such a motion? Alderman Swanson?
I would like to move to remove one item from the omnibus agenda, and that would be number 6, approve the minutes. I have a minor adjustment to one of the paragraphs.
Without objection, item 6 has been removed from the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the omnibus agenda as amended?
So moved.
Alderman Marks makes the motion.
Second.
Alderman Bruno makes the second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mike Bruno.
Aye.
Tara Burkhardt.
Aye.
Don Cummings. Aye. Becky Ruby.
Aye.
Dean Kilburg.
Aye.
Craig Maladra.
Aye.
Richard Marks.
Aye.
Jean McGowan.
Aye.
Jim Radecki.
Aye.
Robert Swanson.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. We skip down to item number 6, which has been removed from the consent agenda by Alderman Swanson. Is there a motion? Actually, forgive me, Robert's rules dictates that Alderman Swanson can make the motion since you removed it from the agenda.
Okay, I move to amend the minutes as written, particularly one paragraph on page 6 of the packet, which starts out Alderman Swanson, and I can read the revised wording if that would work as the proposal, as the motion.
Certainly.
Second.
I would change the rewording to be, Alderman Swanson pointed out that Alderman Marks' projections are based on current staffing levels and should be looked at in relation to the total staffing levels of the city, FTEs. Swanson asked what compensation increase was included in the budget. City Administrator Dawkins clarified that no compensation increase was included in the budget pending the results of the compensation study. And that would replace the paragraph on page 6, which is number 3 on page 6.
It's a motion to amend as stated. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Marks makes the second. Any questions or comments for either Alderman Swanson or perhaps Alderman, good God, City Administrator Dawkins on the off, since she was referencing that? You comfortable, Mr. Clerk?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Mike Bruno.
Aye.
Tara Burkhart.
Aye.
Don Cummings. Don Cummings?
Alderman Radecki, point of order. What is your point?
Yeah.
Point of order takes,
Maybe you're hesitant. You know, I guess in all the years I've done this, I don't know that we've amended minutes before.
we have, actually several times.
Have we?
Usually, and Alderman Swanson and I corresponded earlier, but I interpret it as innocuous, quite frankly, with respect to intent. We have done that before, too, when perhaps we've recorded a vote incorrectly or something was stated incorrectly, what have you.
Yeah,
So-
I can see a vote that's incorrect, but, you know, it's difficult for me to vote with any kind of, you know, it probably is innocuous. But for what I'm voting for, I have absolutely no idea without watching it as to whether or not that actually was the intent or that's what was said. So, you know, I'm not questioning Alderman Swanson, I'm just saying this process of being able to say that now that did correctly capture the essence of it is an absolute blind vote to me right now.
I think,
Yes, is it, Don, is that what you were?
I think I've suggested to the mayor that Alderman Swanson indicate the reason that he's asking for the change, and maybe that'll clarify the situation.
Sure. When I read the minutes as presented in the packet, they did not mesh with my recollection of why I was asking what I did and what I asked, as well as Stephanie Dawkins' response to me. So my rewriting of that paragraph is doing both. It's stating what I was intending to bring up, the point of my question, and also clarifying what Stephanie's answer was to me. And right now, as documented, it is not completely accurate, and it mentions a few items that were not in her response to me.
I disagree with that, but, okay. In essence, I certainly agree with Alderman Swanson's point. I missed a line in the middle. But I didn't think I captured anything that Stephanie did not. I don't think I put anything in there that she didn't say. But I did kind of flub what I wrote there. I agree with that.
Okay, I guess what I thought was not mentioned was benefits and pension costs. I don't believe were in the response to my question when I was asking about the increase in pay that was baked into the budget.
Well, I captured what I got from the minutes, but
And of course, the minutes reflect, the minutes have never been, nor will they ever be verbatim.
Sure,
We, of course,
understood.
and prior to television broadcast, we had the handy-dandy recording device. Now, of course, we have both the recording device and obviously the broadcast tapes. So while the minutes capture the essence of what was said, it's certainly not verbatim. So in my humble opinion, irrespective of the recommendation to change it, I think it is innocuous, but what we would all rely on is, of course, the broadcast tape.
Sure.
Alderman Radecki had a point of order. Has your point of order been addressed?
Yeah, I guess so. It is, we do have a record of this, so I get it, but
Okay.
I just think, again, it's, Alderman Swanson's intent and things of that, it's still uncomfortable to amend something that, his explanation shed no more light on it than me, especially when the city clerk said this is what he thought, so, I guess, I'll vote for it only because I know that there is an accurate record of it with no interpretation necessary except for the person that watches it, but I think I'd be hesitant to be changing minutes like this again in the future, just because we already have a record of it. As you said, it is innocuous. So the argument can be just as made strongly to let them go as it is to change them, in my opinion, because there is a record that says exactly what it is. So anyhow, thank you.
You're welcome. Alderman Cummings, the floor is yours.
I think if this had addressed any, I think all of you will remember, the one thing that I was focusing on last week and the week before was what I and others called total compensation and what made up total compensation. I think if we're going back and correcting the minutes on any other terminology, I wouldn't even hesitate. But total compensation to me is already a friction area. So I don't want to, I can't vote yes on the change until I hear the video, and I can't sit here and watch a video, although I thought about it.
Mr. Radovich?
Again, Mr. Mayor, if this were a substantive matter as to a vote, then I think the clerk would be responsible for checking the videotape of the proceedings before making a change. This is sort of refinement of a comment by a legislator, and as I think you put it, it's probably more innocuous in this setting. So certainly the Alderman Cummings can vote negatively if that's his desire. I think I'll just proceed.
May I comment?
One moment, I'm going to ask if any other council members wish to comment on the matter. Alderman Ruby?
Just a quick question for future reference. Is there a different course of action that Alderman Swanson could have taken?
I think I will speak to this. I think there's a number of options. Certainly Alderman Swanson could, under new business, state, based on the minutes that were recorded and passed, I want to state, to clarify what my intention, what my meaning was. He could state that in an email to us, 2 by 2. He could share it in writing to the clerk. He could add as an addendum to a council meeting or a committee of the whole meeting, et cetera. Sure.
Okay,
So there are a number of options, so.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Right. As far as the procedure, what Attorney Radovich said, I did go back and review it, and I agree that what Alderman Swanson stated was correct, as he proposed. I did miss a line in there, and he clarified it, so I fully accept it, so that's fine.
I'll vote no, thank you.
Anyone else? Right, I know. Questions? Mr. Clerk, whenever you're ready, a roll call vote would be in order.
Okay, continuing, Becky Ruby,
Aye.
Dean Kilberg,
I'll abstain. I wasn't in attendance for that meeting.
Craig Maladra. Aye. Was it aye?
Aye, sorry.
Richard Marks.
Aye.
Jean McGowan,
Aye.
Jim Radecki,
Yeah, aye.
Robert Swanson.
Aye.
You didn't get me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're here, though. Mike Bruno
Aye.
and Tara Burkhart. We.
Aye,
I
yeah,
got
you
through a
did.
couple at the beginning.
Went through a partial roll call
Right.
before.
I picked up again.
Okay.
You okay to vote twice?
All right, Mr. Clerk, my total vote count is 8 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention.
Correct.
The motion passes. We skip down to item number 10, municipal bills for payment. We kindly ask our clerk to read the bills in their aggregate for our consideration this evening.
Total bills for payment, $2,938,360.38.
Mayor, I move that we approve and pay the bills as read. The individual items that add up to that amount can be found in tonight's city council packet on the Geneva website.
The motion by Alderman Bruno to pay the bills as presented, which are also available in our packets and on the city's website, has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, with enthusiasm, Alderman Marks. Questions or comments regarding the bills? Mr. Clerk?
Mike Bruno,
Aye.
Tara Burkhart,
Aye.
Don Cummings,
Aye.
Becky Ruby,
Aye.
Dean Kilberg,
Aye.
Craig Maladra,
Aye.
Richard Marks.
Aye.
Jean McGowan,
Aye.
Chair Radecki? Aye. Robert Swanson?
Aye.
Motion passes with 10 affirmative votes, no absence, no abstentions, and no nays. We're down to new business, ladies and gentlemen. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our state representative, Mr. Anderson, who snuck in. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Mayor?
You must be wildly bored to be here this evening.
No, I'm just here to spread the holiday cheer.
Are you? Would you like the podium?
It's actually up to you.
Oh, of course, new business. I'd defer to Lieben, but he promised not to say anything.
Yeah, I didn't intend to come and speak, but I am here. It's always an honor to be here. And I really don't have any agenda items, to bring up. But as always, as an elected representative, I'm here to answer questions if you have any. So if there are any, I'm happy to take it. If not, I'm happy to end your meeting quickly.
Well, that's a loaded question. The floor is open to the council. Alderman McGowan.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm just curious, do you have any good news regarding the future of the state of Illinois? I received so many messages and emails from constituents with concerns about Illinois' financial situation. So what are there any silver linings or anything going on that you feel is moving in a really positive direction?
Sure. It's tough to be optimistic about the state. Even though this past summer we finally ended the longest budget impasse in U.S. history, that doesn't mean, though, that we're in good financial shape. The way I typically characterize it is instead of being flat on our back, we're on our knees, but we aren't on our feet yet. However, the good news is that we do have an opportunity to continue to fight for our state. Had we allowed things to go the way that they were going, and quite frankly, that would have been the responsibility of leadership, which would have been the governor and the speaker, both together would have been happy to let us go off a cliff. We stopped that from happening. So that actually is good news, even though some people don't agree with it. The bottom line is our schools did open. I was teaching speaking to kids up at Larkin, up in U46, 2 days ago. And they said, well, what would have happened? And I described a variety of the things that would have happened, including the fact that we wouldn't have been standing there because U46 would have closed its doors around October 15th had there not been a budget. Similarly, our universities faced de-accreditation. All of our employees were going to be laid off, so that would have been 60,000 people laid off. And there was no prospect for a stopgap. In other words, no way to get that restarted. And ultimately, the worst of it all would have been the junk bond status that we were facing, which means that the state of Illinois literally could not invest in the state of Illinois. That's how low valued we were, which meant all our borrowing costs went up. None of those bad things happened. Many good things happened as a result. We stabilized our state. We avoided junk status. Our universities opened and our schools also opened. Our road projects continue. So many, many good things happened. Most importantly, I think, is we've established going forward, albeit by a tax rate increase, which nobody wanted. I didn't want to vote for it, but it was, a choice between evils. Ultimately, the question is, do we have the stability to keep going? And I believe that we do if we fight hard, if we continue to cut where we already cut $3 billion out of our budget, but there probably needs to be more cutting. There needs to be more efficiencies found. But now we have a chance to do that, as opposed to having two groups blame each other while the state burns. The state is not burning. We have a chance to recover. So, in my opinion, that's good news. A lot of people might disagree with me about that, but I think ultimately the thing business and people look for the most is stability and predictability. We've created some of that now. Long answer to a short question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Your Honor.
My pleasure, sir,
Good to see you.
and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you very much. Another point on our new business, all of you have a copy of the legislative breakfast coming up on January 17th, held at Waubonsee Community College. I know Representative Anderson will be present, along with, I believe, 6 or 7 others yet to commit. Alderman Bruno?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to use this opportunity to wish this council and all in attendance a healthy and prosperous 2018 as it comes up. Serving with this council is possibly the greatest honor that I have, And I wish the best to everyone here, and happy holidays.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn would be in order, ladies and gentlemen. Alderman Marks makes the motion, seconded by Alderman Swanson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you on January the 8th. Good night.